Welcome to the deep dive. You're here because you want to get smart, fast, soak up knowledge, different viewpoints, but, without feeling totally swamped.
Exactly. And that's what we aim to deliver.
So today, we're jumping straight into some really powerful ideas, stuff about navigating life's inevitable bumps in the road.
Right. The setbacks
hmm
and also how to handle negativity when it comes your way.
Think of this as like a focused look at keeping your ego in check when things go wrong, and maybe why lashing out, well, it just doesn't work.
We've pulled together insights from some really thoughtful writings on basically self-management and resilience.
Okay.
And the goal is to pull out the most useful, the most actionable bits for you. We're going to focus on two main themes.
What are those?
First, this idea of having your own internal scorecard for when you face failure.
Yeah, internal scorecard.
And second, this maybe surprising approach, always love when you're dealing with negativity.
Always love. Okay, interesting. Let's dive into that first part then. Failure. It happens to everyone, right? No one just cruises through.
Absolutely unavoidable.
But what these sources seem to highlight is how our ego, it can really mess things up. It stops us learning from failures.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes the ego is what causes the failure in the first place.
Right. So the idea is when things go sideways, we need, what is it? Purpose, poise, patience.
That's the core idea. Not pity, not feeling sorry for yourself.
So how do you actually build that mindset?
Well, a really key piece is understanding this difference between an inner scorecard and an external scorecard.
Okay.
Warren Buffett talks about this. The inner scorecard is, measuring yourself against your potential, your standards.
Right. Not just winning or what people say.
Exactly. That's the external scorecard, the applause, the wins. And the point is, those external things, they aren't always the best measure of, actual growth or even doing things properly.
That makes me think of that New England Patriots story, drafting Tom Brady.
Oh, yeah. Classic example.
I mean, look at it from the outside. Huge win. 6th-round pick, number 199 overall.
Becomes arguably the greatest quarterback ever. Multiple Super Bowls, MVPs.
You'd think they'd just be popping champagne, right? Pure genius move.
Well, they were definitely happy with the outcome, sure. But what's really fascinating is how they looked at it internally.
How so?
Because Brady's success was so unexpected based on their scouting. They realized their reports had totally missed something huge.
Missed what?
His intangibles,
Yeah.
his character, his drive, things like that.
Yeah.
They saw it as a major intelligence failure.
An intelligence failure,
Yeah.
even though they got Brady.
Yes. A mistake in their own process.
Yeah.
Because, by their logic, if they missed that, someone else could have easily gotten him instead. It was luck, in a way.
Wow. So instead of just like basking in the glory,
They focused on the flaw in their system. How could they get better at evaluating those intangibles?
that's a really different way to look at success. It reminds me of that detail about Scott Pioli.
Oh, the personnel director at the
Yeah,
time.
didn't he keep a photo of a draft bust on his desk?
He did. Apparently, as a reminder, you're not as good as you think. You don't have it all figured out.
Stay humble, stay focused.
Exactly. That kind of relentless self-critique, even amidst success, is pretty rare, but it's powerful.
It ties into what some other figures said, right? Like Coach Wooden.
Yeah, John Wooden always emphasized that the final score wasn't the only measure of success.
And wasn't there something about Bo Jackson? Even a home run wasn't perfect.
Right. He felt it could always be better.
Hmm.
These great performers, great organizations, they hold themselves to these incredibly high internal standards, way beyond just winning or losing.
So for us listening, the takeaway is, what are my internal standards beyond just the obvious result?
Precisely. And the Patriots saw Brady as, quote, more lucky than smart.
Lucky, not smart.
They weren't interested in celebrating luck. They wanted to fix the process so they wouldn't need luck next time. It really shows humility, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Being honest about improvement areas even when things look great.
Yeah, because ego. Ego just wants the praise. Right?
Absolutely. Ego blocks that kind of tough self-assessment. It filters everything, only lets the good stuff in, the validation.
So it stops you getting better.
Fundamentally hinders growth. There's a line in the sources, vain men never hear anything but praise. Hits the nail on the head.
Okay, so how do we fight that? How do we get past the ego? There's mention of Adam Smith, the impartial spectator.
Ah, yes. Adam Smith's idea is that we all have this sort of internal, unbiased observer, the impartial spectator.
An advisor inside your head.
Kind of. Someone you can consult to judge your actions before and after you do them. It helps you step outside your own biases, your own self-interest. It pushes you away from thinking, what can I get away with, towards what's the right thing to do here?
It's about building that internal compass. Because ego loves excuses, right? Oh, it wasn't technically illegal, or no one will know.
Exactly, those kinds of rationalizations. But when your benchmark is that internal standard, those excuses just, they don't cut it. And the sources argue that while living up to that inner standard might feel harder at first,
Yeah.
it ultimately makes us less selfish, more focused on the long game, better team players. Your motivation shifts. It's not just about external rewards anymore. It's about aligning with your values.
So just looking back at wins isn't enough for real growth.
No,
Yeah.
it's the constant push against those higher internal standards. That's what drives real progress, even when things look good on the outside.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Let's pivot then to the second big idea, dealing with negativity, this always love thing.
Right.
I mean, honestly, when someone comes at you, criticizes you, attacks you, love is probably the last thing on your mind.
It definitely feels counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Mm.
But the question these writings pose is, well, does getting angry and fighting back actually help? Does it achieve anything useful in the end?
Mm.
The story of William Randolph Hearst and Orson Welles' Citizen Kane is just, wow, a perfect illustration.
Oh, yeah. Hearst, the huge media mogul, he basically declared war on that movie.
And it sounds like he probably never even saw it, just assumed it was an attack on him.
And the stuff he did, it was extreme.
Totally extreme. Banned any mention of the studio, RKO in his newspapers. Dug up dirt on Welles' private life. Pressured the studio boards.
Didn't he offer money to destroy the film?
Reportedly, yes. $800,000. A huge sum back then to just burn the negative. He leaned on theaters not to show it, even got the FBI involved somehow.
It's unbelievable. And the biggest irony
Is that his massive campaign to kill the movie is a huge reason why it's now considered this legendary masterpiece.
right, the Streisand effect, basically. Trying to hide something just makes everyone look harder.
Exactly. Think about all the time. The energy, the money Hearst wasted trying to control what people thought, trying to stop this thing he didn't like.
So much effort.
And the sources suggest this radical alternative. Meet that negativity with, well, maybe not literal love in every case, but at least letting it go, disengaging, maybe even laughing about it.
That is really hard to do, though, when it feels personal. Your gut reaction is defense or attack.
It is. It's the natural instincts.
Yeah.
But the warning here is that getting consumed by that anger, that need to defend your image,
Yeah.
it can blow small things way out of proportion.
Yeah.
It can take over, become self-destructive even. Think about Nixon after Watergate, obsessed with his enemies, feeling the world was against him. It didn't end well.
But then you have these amazing counterexamples. Frederick Douglass.
Oh, his response was incredible.
Being told to ride in a baggage car because of his race.
Wow.
And his reaction wasn't anger.
No bitterness. He just said, basically, they can't degrade me, Frederick Douglass. The soul inside me, no one can degrade. The degradation belongs to those inflicting it.
Wow. Just refusing to let their hate touch his inner self.
It's such a powerful stance.
Mhm.
And the sources kind of contrast how easy it is to hate versus the strength required for maybe pity or empathy for why someone acts negatively.
Like Barbara Jordan calling for love, 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 love.
Yes, and Martin Luther King Jr.'s teachings about love being freedom and hate being this burden, this cancer that eats away at the person holding it.
It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? All the things you really dislike, the people who drive you crazy.
Has holding on to that intense negativity actually done you any good?
Probably not.
And often, the negative traits in others, their spite, their dishonesty, they bring their own consequences eventually. So the real question is, are we going to make ourselves miserable because of them?
Right. Which brings us back to Orson Welles, that story about him running into Hearst at the premiere.
It's amazing. Wells just walks up, jokes around, and apparently invites Hearst to come see the film.
After everything Hearst did to ruin him.
Incredible, isn't it? Despite all that, despite other career setbacks, Wells didn't seem to become bitter. He kept creating, lived this full life, and Citizen Kane, it's celebrated now.
Which is such a contrast to, say, Dave Mustaine from Megadeth.
Yeah, the sources mention him. Kicked out of Metallica early on, built his own successful band, but apparently carried that resentment for years.
Even with his own success.
Right. It shows how that kind of bitterness can just poison your own well-being, regardless of external achievements.
It's that ego again, isn't it? Holding on to the past, how things should have been.
That's ego personified. It traps you, stops you moving on.
Hate just deflects blame, stops you doing anything productive.
Keeps you stuck, or just sours whatever success you do achieve.
So the alternative is love. Or at least not hate.
Yes. A conscious rejection of that corrosive negativity. It's framed as the egoless way, open, positive, and ultimately just way more productive for navigating life.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. For everyone listening, what are the absolute key takeaways from this deep dive?
I'd say two main things. First, when you fail, and you will focus on building and listening to your inner scorecard, your own standards, learn with humility, keep that ego sidelined.
Right, internal scorecard first.
Second, when negativity comes your way, resist that powerful urge to just hit back with more negativity. It usually backfires. Consider detachment, maybe even empathy if you can manage it.
It really is about where you put your energy, isn't it? Chasing external praise or fighting battles versus internal growth.
Well put. Hopefully exploring these ideas gives everyone some useful things to think about.
Definitely. So here's maybe a final thought to leave you with. How could your life change, really change, if you intentionally shifted focus away from external validation toward your own internal standards?
And away from reacting negatively towards a more detached, maybe even understanding perspective.
How might that unlock new growth, new resilience for you? Something to mull over.